Last week, I think it was Sally who suggested maybe moving the computer down and the notes that I use up and seeing if it helped with the sound or the. So I'm trying that, and I'm feeling really disoriented. We're such creatures of habit. It's like, where did you all? Why are you all over there? And why is the anyway? Well, anybody can give me feedback, and we'll see how it goes. So Genjo Koan, we're on verse 8. Feels important to remind us that Dogen is poetry. I mean, he doesn't say it's poetry, but this is not like, I used to get so mad at Dogen. I was just like, just say what you mean. What is the matter? It's like, why are you making this complicated? Now, having spent a little time trying to say what I mean, one, I have no idea what I'm trying to say. I have a felt sense of what I'm trying to say, and you're always feeling your way in the dark, and whatever you say, it's not quite it. And so presenting it as the way Dogen presents it is you really do have to let your ears open, your whole body open, and let it wash in. So I will continue to read the poetry of his language to offer some commentaries from today. I think I have one from Okamura Sensei and Uchiyama and Nishi. I haven't offered him before. Nishi, you can tell I don't know him very well. Nishiara Bokusan, and maybe that's it. And maybe you, we, I will have a glimpse or a glimmer. It's maybe I just had the image of, the way the light on a mountain lake or on the ocean or a wave, and suddenly something is illumined, and then it just becomes part of the ocean and the wave and the sky and the. So don't try to grab hold. Figure Dogen is teaching you, he's right here and he's teaching across time and space, and he's really doing his best. He's really doing his best to convey the ineffable. So this is what I thought I'd start with, because I think it's so beautiful. Okamura Sensei, he has a commentary on the Genjo Koan. His teacher is Uchiyama, and we'll do a little more commentary from him. But here is, Okamura says, the day Uchiyama died, Uchiyama, his teacher, died, he was 86 years old, and he wrote a poem in his diary, trying to express a whole life of practice. He tried his whole life. I mean, each one of us in our own way is doing that, right? To express our deepest heart. It's like the deepest meaning of this life, this birth, this death. What are we doing here? What is this all about? So Uchiyama, this is what he wrote in his diary, and he felt that he had finally and fully expressed what he had wished to say throughout his practice life. Okay, you ready? Just bow. Putting my right and my left hands together as one, I just bow. Just bow to become with Buddha and God. Just bow to become one with everything I encounter. Just bow to become one with all myriad things. Just bow as life becomes life. Just bow. Lifetime of practice, a lifetime of living. Just bow. Here are different ways that Dogen might say this, or did say it actually. Verse 8. Shobbo Genzo, Genjo Koan. Actualizing the fundamental principle, living life. When the Dharma does not fill your whole body and mind, you think it's already sufficient. When the Dharma fills your body and mind, you understand something is missing. Now you might notice this is a little paradoxical. That when it doesn't fill your whole body and mind, you think it's sufficient. Huh? And when the Dharma does fill your body and mind, you understand something is missing. Paradox. Become comfortable in paradox, which I would say if you haven't noticed that life is paradoxical, you haven't been paying attention. Dogen's trying to help us toss and tumble and do somersaults in this world with all the things that we think. Surely we could just nail this down. So here is when you have a glimpse of oneness, you have a sense of like that sparkle, that sense of, oh, this isn't just somebody saying something. That profound, radical interconnection of everything. You just, it's like it's like you know it's true. Even if you don't know what that is, but you know it, you taste it, you had a moment. And it hasn't fully penetrated your body and mind, meaning it was just a moment. Some part of you thinks it's sufficient. It's like, ha! I got it. And then, of course, you might write poetry, or you might go tell somebody, or you might sit down on the cushion and think that you were a Buddha, or I mean, all the things that we do because we're convinced that we see our lives. We're convinced that this life is something that we need to improve. We're convinced that whatever we've got, in the moment that we've got it, is that it's the view, I just had this. And then we have this really deep longing that continues, always. For what is it? And how do we feel it? And how can it permeate our whole body and life? And then, of course, the other side of that is because there's dualism in that, is because there is this thing that we thought we got that we don't have now. It felt sufficient a minute ago. Then there's this longing and this need that we don't quite have it. Right? I mean, we sort of have a sense of what Dogen's pointing at here. Our view of ourselves and of our lives, which is exactly because we're longing. We're longing for this life. We want it to be real and sufficient. This is what waking up to me is. You just more and more realize how much you're seeing of everything is about this big. It's about this big, but it's exactly this. It's like, how can, it's incomprehensible, and it's just this. But I'm also, when I am convinced of my view, I am so convinced of my view. Now, I'm sure that's not true of all of you. You probably hold your own views really, really lightly. So the second thing he says is when the Dharma does fill your whole body and mind, when you are fully, completely filled all the way through, whatever that is, in that moment, maybe, you realize that something's missing. When you truly see how incomprehensible, how subtle and complex and mysterious the world is. You understand that there's just nothing but ongoing practice of trying to understand, of looking and seeing more deeply. And it becomes not onerous, but a sense of really deep wonder. What a bodhisattva does is continue to ask and explore with practice and for all beings, So we more and more see our limitations as wisdom, not as a problem that we're setting ourselves up against. Just bow, the middle way. We come to see that our view is not always right. We see that what we're understanding, even if we think we got it, is limited. We can't possibly hold and see or comprehend the whole thing, this little human being. I know there's more, I can always see more, I can always understand more, and I long to see more. So this becomes the faith and the longing that's also our doubt, which is great doubt, is I know I don't understand this, and I want to, because I have great faith that this world is so perfect, whole, and complete, and mysterious and ineffable. And I just want to keep understanding more and more. So it becomes a faith practice, really, as we just keep giving ourselves to this life and this world and bowing over and over again, which is what a bodhisattva does, is we're here just with everybody, understanding we all have this really deep longing, and we turn it against ourselves, and we turn it against the world, and we turn it against I had it, or what's the matter with me, or you had it. I mean, that's what our dualistic mind does. And we understand that it's already here. And that taste we have, it's the truth of it. So you just practice forever, knowing you can never reach the end of it, and there's no way to measure it. It's actually, to me, deeply hopeful, beautiful practice. So here's some commentary by Suzuki Roshi about this. When we understand that something is missing, it means that if you understand the actual truth, it reveals itself as the eternal present. It's just right here. Not only this moment, but eternally, it will continuously reveal itself through through activity. What we do just now, this is interesting, he says, what we do just now is not enough. You'd think he'd say, what you do right now is full, perfect, and complete, right? But again, it's paradoxical, he's turning it. He says, what we do just now is not enough. We have to do another activity in the next moment. So we're expressing the truth moment by moment, every moment in our activity. Our practice is the way that truth manifests our living and through our living. An activity has to go to another moment. So every activity is complete, and yet something is missing. It's kind of poignant, isn't it? I mean, that's what the longing is. That's what always feels a little off balance. There's always this longing, which is really, really beautiful. But to know not to turn it against yourself, that that's actually the heart and the beauty of practice and of being alive, is really deep wonder and curiosity. And then the next moment appears, and we do something else, and that's what eternity is. That's what the eternal moment is. He says the eternal moment is a moment in which we give ourselves fully. Just give yourself wholeheartedly to this moment. Just bow. Just this. And then it passes away. It's so beautiful. It's so poignant. Ongoing, endless process of change and impermanent. And it's completely eternal because it's just this. What a conundrum it is being a human being. You kind of, when I say all these things, I can feel a lot of emotional response in my body of just love and longing and sadness and poignancy and beauty and completeness, and the feeling of, oh, this is I can't imagine that I'm not going to be feeling exactly this in the moment that I die, and then there'll be another moment. But that's how it is all the time. It's like how tender it is. Uchiyama Roshi says, our very comparative mind is what makes us unhappy. Because we're always setting ourselves up in this world that is feels like, you know, the earth on an axis, and it's wobbly. There's this beautiful axis, and this is what we're doing in the axis, and the world is doing with us, and that's beautiful because it's waking us up. Even our delusion and our destructiveness has its source in our Buddha nature, in our discriminating mind. It's not evil or a mistake that we are this way. We have to learn how to hold it and understand it and practice with it. The particularity of your life and your limitations. And the longing to connect. The longing to know the connection that we inherently feel and know. The longing to love and be loved. And what is that all the way through? Sometimes I forget to number my pages, and then I really get in trouble. But then on the other hand, when you're talking about Dogen, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Nishiara Bokusan says, the commentary on these words. The opening lines, when Dharma does not fill your body and mind, you may assume it is already sufficient. When Dharma fills your body and mind, you understand that something is missing. These opening lines are really important to me. I've always particularly prized them in my practice. In the beginning, you think you know something. And the deeper your practice gets, the more you know that you don't know. You are more intimate with your practice and life, and the more humble you become. I would say that's a mark of practice. I get very suspicious of people. Well, I can be as arrogant as anybody, trust me, but look for humility. Practice and life, if you're really paying attention, will make you very, very humble. We see how much is missing and how much we're lacking, but it's okay. We're okay with that. It's one continuous mistake. I think when Dogen writes this, I think he really means it. It's not a joke or ironic. I think it's also written out of the fullness of his life, of just accepting his life. Okay, so then he gives some metaphors. Dogen gives beautiful metaphors, and they're almost always, and in the Genjo Koan, they're about nature. So it's like, we know this. I mean, you can check it out in a certain way, or enter the metaphor. This is Dogen. When you sail out in a boat in the middle of a lake, in the middle of an ocean where no land is in sight, and you look out in the four directions, the ocean appears to be a circle. Right? That's verifiable. Right? He's not tricking us. But the ocean is in actuality neither round nor square. Its feathers are its features are infinite in variety. The ocean is like a palace. It is like a jewel. It just all depends on what your perspective is and how you're looking at it. So everything is like this. We only see what we see, but more and more we come to know it's not the whole story. And then he says, though there are many features in the dusty world, in the world beyond conditions, you only see what your eye of practice can reach. You only see as deep as your wisdom eye sees. You can only see through the wisdom eye of what your life has brought you. And we'll see more tomorrow. And we get up every day. Don't you in some way get up every day and devote your life to seeing more and being more compassionate, more tender, more open, to see more fully, to be able to see beyond my own little view of it's a circle and it begins here and it ends here And I'm sorry, this is my view over here, and your view over there, yeah, well, you're pretty deluded. We can only see and understand what our eye of practice can reach. And here's the final part of verse 8. In order to learn the nature of the myriad things, you must know that although they may look round or square, the other features of the mountains and oceans are infinite in variety. Whole worlds are there. It is so not only around you, but directly beneath your feet and in a drop of water. Do you ever wonder what it's like what an insect's reality is? Or what your dog's reality is? Or your child or your grandchild or birds' reality? I mean, I mean, it's my child mind. I think there is a part of me that's always wondered that. What's do you know how many different kinds of perception are going on all at once? No wonder why we get attached to ours. Otherwise we wouldn't know how to walk from here to the door. It's like, anyway, I think you get it. We just bow. And we see beyond abundance and lack. This is our ordinary life. Conventional life, we have to use concepts, we have to grasp, we have to communicate. That's what we do. We keep trying and trying. And we know that with interdependent origination or co-arising or the myriad 100 million things come forward at once to enlighten us, everything is empty of any inherent self-existence, and the world is empty and wondrous. And that's the middle way. Is you just bow. And you just keep trying. That's what bodhisattvas do. See what I missed here? It is so not only around you, it is also directly beneath your feet or in a drop of water. It's in everything. It's in everything. So then it becomes just bow. Putting my right and left hands together as one, I just bow. Just bow to become with Buddha and God, with the ineffable, with the mysterious, with the complete don't know. And just bow to become with everything I encounter. The particular, because there's no separation. Just bow to become with all the myriad things. I just bow as life becomes life and reveals itself moment after moment, and then the next moment and the next moment, and is completely eternal. Thich Nhat Hanh says, when you deeply touch the historical dimension, which is the particular, linear, you find yourself in the ultimate dimension. You can't not, I mean, look at the shadow and play of light on the wall. It's like, what is it? But if you touch the ultimate dimension, have a sense of it, you haven't left the historical dimension. Somebody could completely come and tell us what that play of light is and everything that's going on. It's just like this. Okay, so I've been looking at Thich Nhat Hanh's collected, Thich Nhat Hanh wrote so many poems, and Call Me By My True Names is one of his early books that came out of the Vietnam War, which actually seems tragically relevant with what's happening in, well, it's always happening somewhere, but in Ukraine, we're once again reminded of it. To read how much he became a revered teacher, a wise teacher, and how much he walked through hell. If you read these poems, you really they're powerful, and they don't. I think because he's so deeply rooted in the ultimate dimension, he can also completely tell us the pain of the particular. I like this one. And then I'll ask you what it might mean to you. It's called Going in Circles. Oh, you who are going in circles, please stop. What are you doing it for? I cannot be without going, because I don't know where to go. That's why I go in circles. Oh, you who are going in circles, please stop. But if I stop going, I will stop being. Oh, my friend who is going in circles, you are not one with this crazy business of going in circles. You may enjoy going, but not going in circles. Where can I go? Go where you can find your beloved, where you can find yourself. So that's my question. And of course, you can talk about anything you want. Here we could do 2 groups of 3. Is